It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What's up guys and welcome to FPL Today. In today's video we go over my team selection for Game Week 2 straight after quickly going over my points and rank in Game Week 1. So let's not mess about and let's get straight into the video, and we start off with McCarthy in goal, and I'm already worried about Southampton defensively. I mean, they conceded against Crystal Palace. That was meant to be the clean sheet that they would have in the bag before some of their other fixtures. It's Tottenham Hotspurs up next, and hopefully Tottenham Hotspurs are as toothless as they were against Everton, but really expected more from McCarthy, and moving on into the defenders, Kyle Walker-Peters, who only got 1 point. Now fortunately he wasn't sent off thanks to VAR, and Kyle Walker-Peters did look like he was getting forward and was rather advanced, but from what I've heard from some Southampton fans, he may not necessarily be tasked to do that against sides like Tottenham Hotspurs. But for now, I think there's better moves for me to make elsewhere, or to potentially hold a transfer. So Kyle Walker-Peters is probably going to stay and probably play in Game Week 2, which isn't my ideal situation. But if I am going to make a transfer, there's probably better areas for me to make a move in right now. Case in point being Vinagre on the bench. And if you see my bench right now, Souček got 2 points, did have some goal threat in that game against Newcastle, but didn't actually get a goal. And Mitchell was my last defender, and of course he was my top scoring defender with his clean sheet against Southampton. Unfortunately, he was getting nowhere near coming onto the pitch, so that is a bit of a disappointment. We then also had the disappointment of Trent Alexander-Arnold, who did very little against Leeds, and to be fair, Andrew Robertson looked a lot better than Trent did. Even Van Dijk looked a lot better than Trent did, even with that mistake that allowed Bamford to score. However, Trent Alexander-Arnold looked like he was targeted in that game by the Leeds defence, and potentially we could be looking at Trent having better performances in games to come. So I'm going to stick with that one for now and hope Trent does prove me right. But fortunately we did get some points in defence, and that was from James Justin, who, from what I heard, didn't have a great game. But from the bits I saw, he was getting rather far forward, did have to always cut in onto his right when crossing the ball in, but he was also there to win that penalty that Jamie Vardy put away. Of course, Jamie Vardy, 2 penalties. I don't think he did anything else in the entire game, but he put away 2 penalties, so got his haul. But James Justin, for now, I'm okay with. The issue is Castan looks good, so when Ricardo Pereira comes back, is Justin going to go into a back 3, or is he going to be dropped from the team entirely? But before this video gets more exciting, if you want to know where I get my stats from and how I pick my sides without being able to watch all of the football over the weekend, then you need to check out Fantasy Football Hub. Fantasy Football Hub is one of the fastest growing communities for FPL and for all of fantasy football, that helps you by giving you exclusive articles, Opta stats, fixture tickers, and also a comparison tool so you can compare player to player. If you want access to all of this information, then please check out the link in the description down below and sign up for Fantasy Football Hub to help you get the best rank possible in any fantasy football game. So definitely go check out Fantasy Football Hub. Thank you so much for their support for this season, and we've had a bit of a blinder when it comes to midfield, and part of that is thanks to Fantasy Football Hub. Now we start off in the midfield with the boring Barts, but I'll quickly glaze over them because you can see a glaringly obvious, fantastic choice that I made for Game Week 1. But quickly over Son, I don't want him in the side anymore. Spurs looked a bit toothless, and to be honest, I never was that keen on Spurs options anyway, but because of the blanks for Man United and Man City, he seemed like a good placeholder at 9 million right midfield, and he only returned 2 points. As for St. Maximin, potentially there's better options in that Newcastle midfield if I'm going to stick with it, but I have also got Wilson up front, which we will get onto. Another decent performance for me. But St. Maximin 3 points, and he looks like he doesn't really have the composure when he gets into the final third, and potentially the likes of Fraser, Hendricks, and maybe even Almiron could be better picks than St. Maximin. I just feel like he's one of those players that may be a very good player, but not a good FPL player. Then we get onto the interesting one, and I think everyone and their mother had Aubameyang and Salah. It's just whether you captained Aubameyang or Salah. And I was on Aubameyang captain for most of pre-season with their game against Fulham, because I thought Leeds could cause an upset at Liverpool, which I suppose in a way I was kind of proven right by, because it was a very close game. However, as we got closer to game week deadline, I was thinking, you know what, Salah is very good at home, and I looked at his stats on Fantasy Football Hub and saw his record at home and his record against low teams at home, and thought maybe Salah is worth the risk here. I also thought Leeds were much more likely to try and attack the game and get a victory than Fulham, who I thought could park the bus. Now, Fulham couldn't park the bus, they still conceded 3, but fortunately for me, Aubameyang only got 1 of those goals, and with the back and forth game between Liverpool and Leeds, Salah managed to get a hat-trick. Yes, 2 were penalties, and to be honest, my thoughts on penalties are they could play a massive part in this season with the way VAR is now getting involved. But that second goal was also a great volley, and Salah looked very hungry. Hungrier than Mane, who was the one that looked better in pre-season, but Salah has always had very good form at Anfield, and 40 points, got to be happy with that. I'm also still happy with Aubameyang's performance as well. He could have scored more than just the 1, and he has West Ham at home next. I think Aubameyang will be my captain for Gameweek 2. Now the issue is, of course, I was meant to transfer Salah out for Bruno Fernandes for Gameweek 2 with them having Crystal Palace. But it's very difficult to transfer out a player that's literally just scored you a hat-trick. So that's going to be a consideration of mine that I have to really think hard about. And it's possible because that was the planned transfer and now I'm not too sure about it. I may hold my transfer for this game week and then have a bit of a shuffle around in Game Week 3. So if you're enjoying the video so far, please do make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. There's about 70% of you that aren't subscribed to FPL Today that watch these videos, so please make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out massively. And also hit that notification bell so you know when my videos go live. And in the comments down below, let me know who you captained in Game Week 1 and how that went for you. And then we finally get onto the strikers as well, and all of our strikers returned. Now, Timo Werner looked good, and he looked like he was hungry for goals, looked like he was getting in all the right positions, looked like a very good player that could this season return quite a few goals for me. However, the issue I have is the Chelsea side behind him looks a bit disjointed as far as the midfield goes. The issue I think is they're waiting for the likes of Ziyech and Pulisic to return, and Havertz was played out on the right, and I don't think that was naturally where he was best suited to play. I think him behind Werner would be a much better pairing, which makes me want Hudson-Odoi to come back into the picture because Loftus-Cheek didn't look comfortable behind Werner, and there was definitely a time when Loftus-Cheek could have played through Werner for Werner to get his first goal of the season. However, Werner did win the penalty that unfortunately he didn't take, Jorginho took, which was disappointing. And then of course the other goals came from the defenders, Reece James, who I really like the look of, but I just worry he's not nailed, even though he had a great return in that game, didn't he? What a goal by Reece James. But yeah, I think I'm happy in FPL that I've only got Timo Werner. Unfortunately, in Fan Team I have Havertz as well, which is a bit of concern after that first game, but we'll probably hold and see how he does in Fan Team. If you want to join Fan Team, link is in the description for that as well. But I really want to see Ziyech and Pulisic come back because I think that will be a massive factor in how effective these Chelsea options are. And then we brought in Wilson. Wilson was a late transfer brought in for Mitrovic, which when your luck's in, isn't it, boys? Because Mitrovic didn't even start. But I just thought, you know what, against West Ham, that's a fixture I want to target because West Ham look in disarray with their locker room feeling very discontent at the moment. And Wilson did return for me, getting a goal and looking very dangerous, getting behind that West Ham defensive line quite often. I think once the West Ham team figure out how best to play to Wilson's strengths, he could do very well in that club. And then of course Calvert-Lewin as well. Like, I know we were all impressed with their summer signings, but did we really think they'd click that quickly? Everton looked very good against Spurs. Rodriguez, Allen and Decore all putting in a really good performance, and although Allen won't be really an FPL option, he looked amazing on the pitch and could be such a massive player for this Everton side. But Rodriguez looked great. Richarlison had plenty of chances as well, more chances than Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which is a little bit of a concern, but it was Dominic Calvert-Lewin that put a great header away from a Digne cross. Digne now an option again. But very happy with the return from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, very happy with his fixtures now that he has had that great return. So that got me 86 points in total, which has put me at an overall rank of 131,343rd, which of course I'm very happy with. That's a great start to this season. Hopefully we can push on from here and make sure we stay around this point at least until we have more data to really set our side in stone. But more importantly, what am I going to do going into Game Week 2? So my team lineup is, we have McCarthy in goal for Tottenham Hotspurs, Trent, Walker-Peters and Justin in defence with Chelsea away, Tottenham Hotspurs at home and Burnley at home. In midfield, we've still got St Maximin for now at home against Brighton Hove Albion. We've got Southampton away for Son. Captain Aubameyang against West Ham at home. Pretty sure that's going to stay where that is. Salah, Chelsea away with the vice captaincy. And then the front three stay the same with Wilson, Brighton Hove Albion, Calvert-Lewin, West Bromwich Albion, and Werner with Liverpool, all home games. And to be honest, that side doesn't look too bad. Of course, it is glaringly missing a Man United player. Now, Man City potentially can wait until Game Week 3 because they do have Wolves in Game Week 2. But Man United with Crystal Palace, that was a planned transfer for me to bring in a Man United player. Now, Salah was going to change to Bruno Fernandes, and Salah's away form is not as good as his home form. So there's still the potential that I make that move, especially with Bruno Fernandes with penalties. If Man United win a penalty, Bruno Fernandes is most likely going to take it. But I've heard a lot of news that potentially Man United have a lot of players that aren't necessarily fit for Game Week 2. So I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. So there is a chance I just hold my transfer. Son is a worry for me though. I would like to change him. If I had any money in the bank, I could of course go to Rashford. But Fernandes and Martial are the players I want from that Man United side. If Werner is definitely injured, it's an easy move to Martial, which could be a move I make until I'm happier with how that Chelsea side is lining up. Other than that, a lot of home fixtures in this, so the only other real players I'm concerned about other than Werner and Son, for now at least, is probably St Maximin, because I don't want to change my goalkeeper already. Hendricks looked good in that Newcastle side, but I want to see how Ryan Fraser's debut in the Premier League for that Newcastle side affects that lineup, but I am interested in both Fraser and Hendricks right now. There are some defenders I'm interested in, and of course Vinagre on the bench, who I do have to think about changing if he isn't going to be starting. And of course I wouldn't mind some of that Burnley defence at some point, the likes of Taylor, but again I don't really want to use transfers on defenders. So in the comments down below, let me know what your transfer would be for this team if you were going to make a transfer. But right now it's very possible that I don't make a transfer, or I stick to the plan of going Bruno Fernandes in for Mohamed Salah. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you have enjoyed it, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Hitting that notification bell will also let you know when my videos go live, so you can check them out and have a discussion in the comments with me about FPL. I will continue to try and answer as many as I can. I have answered some from the previous video, but not all of them. But one of my goals this season is to stay in touch with you guys in the comments. So make sure to put any questions in there as well, and I will try and answer them. Don't forget to check out Fantasy Football Hub as well if you want some help and some stats for this FPL season. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.